What's the basis of a healthy raw vegan diet, and why?
To me, the most important thing for a healthy raw vegan diet are green leafy vegetables. The name of my restaurant is Leaf Organics, not by mistake. I do think that green leafy vegetables are the most important food for human beings. They also, by the way, make life possible on the planet. So I think that that's really important. A lot of times you see sometimes in some of the raw cuisine that's available, very fancy dishes, very beautiful and so forth, but there's no greens in them anymore. So I think that the salad is a wonderful thing. And you can make salads incredibly delicious and diverse and nutritious and delicious. So I think the salad is a really important part of a raw food diet.
I agree with that. The basis for me and for anybody just starting out is stop eating anything in a box, a bag, a can, processed food. I mean, most of the people that are out there shopping don't even look what they're putting in their cart. They take stuff off the shelf and throw it in the cart. If you would read what's on the box, blueberry cereal that doesn't really have blueberries in it, carrot cake, there's no carrots in it. They're all chemically made. It's really the first start, I think. We all know that raw food is like, all of us know that it is the ultimate of the way to eat. But for anybody starting out, just stopping your sodas and stopping eating processed food is so big you would not believe it. If you would just go to the produce department, if you can buy organic, great. If not, just eat those fruits and vegetables and greens and lay off the processed food for just a week, you'll tell the difference. And in a month, you'll never want to have it again. So to me, that's the basis of a raw food diet, is to stop eating that food that's out there and eat it in packages, cans, and everything else. I mean, you would be amazed, especially if you're feeding children. It's like a science project. It has nothing to do with food. It's like frankenfood. It's not even real food to us anymore, those of us who know what's in that. So I think I would say that would be the first thing to start out with. And then, of course, is having all your salads and your greens and your juices, and that's a really good way to think about it. And in fact, if you don't cut anything out and you just start with your green drink, you'll slowly move into knowing how good you feel after that, as opposed to how it feels when you eat this other food.
It's real simple. Eat stuff the way you find it in nature, and that's it. You don't find cooked food in nature. You don't find, I mean, just whatever it is you put in your mouth, ask yourself, can I find this in nature in this form? Now you can mix a few things together, but that's the general basis of it. And eat it in the kind of proportions you find. If you look at a tree, it's not all fruit. There's a lot of green stuff on there. So, you know, if you watch what a monkey eats, it's half leafy greens and half fruit, a few nuts and stuff. It's really that simple. It doesn't require a lot of thought. And you kind of know what's natural and what's not. And that's kind of how I eat. I mean, this is a very simple answer.
Along with what other panelists said, I remember one time I spoke with Mimi, and one of the things she said is, and this has happened to me as well, and I was a dessert freak. Before I really started eating healthy, when I was a little kid, my idea of heaven was rows and rows of desserts, not raw desserts, but like cakes and cookies, and like, I was such a sweet tooth. And so Mimi, I remember one time Mimi said, I'm addicted to greens. And before I would have started a living foods diet, I would have thought, addicted to greens, like really? But it's true, and what happens is that when we detox our bodies from these processed foods, I like to say every day eat something that's been kissed by the sun and not tampered with by human hands. Put living foods into a living body to nourish it the way it's meant to be nourished. And so when you start with the green drink in the morning, and what I do is I'll mix the greens with some fruit, and you're getting the greens that way. Or you make a green juice and you can put some ginger in it, and it's just, your body will start craving it, and before you know it, you will be eliminating the processed food, eliminating the sugars, eliminating the bad oils, eliminating all that, and you'll be eating more and more living foods. Your body will naturally make that transition as you put more living foods and more green foods into your body. And you will, but if you took this on, if you're not already, by next year you'll come to us and you'll say, oh my God, I'm addicted to greens. I thought you were crazy, Dr. Elizabeth, when you said this, but truly, a year later, I'm addicted to greens.
There's one thing I wanted to add real quick. When you pick a leaf, Put it on a table and watch what happens within the first hour or two. You watch it literally die in front of you. It just goes limp. You got to eat your food as close to the moment of picking as possible. Because the stuff you buy in the store, it's probably been picked a week or two ago, and it's got preservatives and God knows what on it. It's been watered with city water that's got fluoride and chlorine in it. Try to grow your own food or eat wild foods and eat it as close to the moment of picking as possible, because that's where the life is. That's why it's called living food.
Great point.
Indeed.
Can I just add one thing, because that made me think of something? If it doesn't die like that, and it has preservatives, and it lasts forever, don't eat it. I mean, if it has a date on it, forget about it. I mean, it's a good thing when something curls up and dies, because this other food you could leave out forever and it'll look like that, 4 years later. Someone's carrying around a hamburger from McDonald's. It looks exactly the same as it did when they bought it. So that's preservatives in food.
Indeed. If we'd like to live a fresh lifestyle, we must eat fresh food to have fresh thoughts, a fresh perspective, yes? Also, what I like to say is it local? Is it simple? Is it, as she said, green? So is it local? Sometimes we can choose between buying something local and buying something from out of state or buying something from the other side of the state. I always go for the local farm, for our neighbor's garden with permission, our neighbor's orchard, sprouting in our own kitchen, sprouting in a jar. As a traveler and a backpacker, even though we're not so crazy about plastic bags, you can put sprouts in a plastic bag, carry it on your back, put the plastic bag in your sleeping bag at night to cozy up with, and the next day you have breakfast or lunch, and it keeps growing. These sprouts, the vegetables keep growing, so that's about as fresh as it gets. Is it local? Is it simple? So some of us know people that are into superfoods, and they think it's wonderful to put 37 superfoods in one smoothie. And the taste of it, it kind of tastes like cardboard mixed with, it doesn't have a lot of flavor, usually, once you put so many ingredients in. But not only that, the vitality, the lack of flavor is indicating a lack of vitality, because if we have such a chemical cocktail, even with superfoods, it's too much. So we have enzymes, and our enzymes are food specific. So our enzymes say, please make it easy on us. And when you make a smoothie, if you can make one ingredient, just throw a bunch of papaya and water in there. If you can do that, the best. If not 2 ingredients, if not 3 or 4, maybe 5, but more than that, and our body starts to slow down, and you can actually feel sleepy due to slight indigestion from having too much complex food. So it's really about keeping it simple, as Marcus had just said. And of course, the greener, the better, because after all, outside of the desert of LA, the desert of Southern California, if you look at the world from a large perspective, what are the colors of the earth? We have the ocean, of course, it's blue, but what is the planet telling us is prolific? What is most available? What color is all over the place? Of course, you all know the answer is green. What is a common mistake that we sometimes make on the raw food path? And what can we do to avoid this?
I think one of the most common mistakes is people kind of buy into the raw foods thing as an ideology. They kind of drink the Kool-Aid, and they start to think that, oh, as long as I'm eating raw foods, then I'm going to be perfectly healthy. But that doesn't really work, and the reason it doesn't work is you need to eat a well-balanced raw food diet. You can't, just eat raw fruit. Well, some people try it, just fruitarians, and they think that works for them. I've tried it. I didn't find it worked for me. But you really need to eat a well-balanced raw food diet and not get into the ideology of it. This is not an ism. It's just something that works. It's really, get past the idea of it, and it's just simply food that actually works with your body. And your body will tell you what works for it. So don't follow a diet. Don't follow anyone telling you how you should eat. Listen to them, learn from it, and then try it yourself. Your body is a biofeedback mechanism. It tells you what works and what doesn't work. It's the reason we've survived on the planet without nutritionists running along beside us for 7 million years. Our bodies have a smell and taste and visual acuity which allows us to see if it's going to work for us or not. And then you can taste it. So use your body. Listen to your body. It's like intuition. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. So don't follow blindly the raw food ideology. It does work if you do it right. But you need to listen to your body first and foremost.
I think when many people start a raw food diet and then maybe a few days in or a few weeks in or even a few months in, they'll eat something else and then they flog themselves for all day for doing it. You have to stop beating yourself up if you don't eat raw every single meal. I think you have to ease into it. And I think a lot of mistakes people make is they think they're just going to go raw immediately. I happen to do that, but it isn't for everybody. You have to find out exactly what your body needs and have that juice in the morning and move slowly. If you have a cooked meal at night, it's not going to kill you while you're in this middle of this transition. So be easy on yourself. You're supposed to enjoy life and have fun. You need a glass of wine, have a glass of wine. Don't make this a big difficult thing for yourself.
Wine is the raw food loophole, by the way.
Yeah. Exactly. If you're eating, a third raw and then you move into, 3/4 raw or half raw, whatever you're doing, that's great. It might take you time. It might take you a year to get there. But don't beat yourself up. And I think that's a big mistake people make. They go off it instead of just continuing. Just keep moving in the right direction. Really simple thing to be kind to yourself and make sure you're having fun while you're eating.
When I wrote my book, it wasn't really to tell people how to go raw. It was telling people what the big mistakes are. And two of the biggest ones are human nature is to be addictive. So the first thing they go for is all the sweets. They go for all the desserts. They go for the cheesecake made out of cashews. They go for, it's all dessert, dessert, dessert. You look at smoothies and all the raw food sites, it's all sweet fruit stuff. Mango, mango, mango. You got to have balance in there. So that's a big one. The second one is they don't cleanse their body out. So now you're having all this nutrition going in your body. If you can't absorb it into your body, what good does it do? So I know this isn't really part of a diet, but the diet is useless unless it actually gets into your body. So cleansing, doing enemas, colonics, and things like that, that's major. I know it's not a fun subject. People don't want to think about that. But what good is any of this food going to do and all this effort if it doesn't actually go into your cells? And the reason it can't go into your cells is because you got all this plaque built up inside your digestive tract. You got to get rid of it. It's like rebuilding a car or a house. You have to scrape it clean before you put the new paint on or the new, whatever it is you're stocking it with. So those I'd say would be the two biggest things. Don't go crazy with the sugar stuff and clean out your body first.
So yes, detoxing is really important because when you put that nourishing food in your body, if your body's clogged up, it's not going to. So you want to flush out detoxing. And really detoxing also, detox mentally, detox emotionally, and also detox physically. For me, one of the biggest pitfalls I see is people will go from a standard American diet, which we call a SAD diet, to they'll start eating living foods, and they'll feel terrible, and they'll go, I knew this didn't work, this doesn't work, and they'll give up. And the reason they feel terrible is because they're detoxing. But people don't know this. Most people don't know, okay, if I've been on the standard American diet, I've been eating meat and potatoes and all sorts of cooked food, that when you make that transition, there's a detox period. Your body is going to go through a detox. Some of these panel members, like myself, went straight raw. I mean, for me, when I found it, I was like, this is like the holy grail. I was so excited to find food that nourished my body so brilliantly. So I went raw right away. But like Mimi said, you don't have to. Start with the green juice in the morning. It's going to exponentially have you to eat more things that are healthy and more things. So it starts this cycle of expansion into more living foods, and just really surrender to the detox process. And as much as possible, if something's in our body physically, there's an emotional aspect to it. So do the detoxing emotionally as well.